video is slightly different. Rather than focus on one particular strategy, I'm taking a free resource for the subject of drama from the TES Resources website and provide examples of how focusing on a language element, for instance a tense, will allow us to come up with appropriate EAL differentiation. Let's begin. The first activity, as we can see on the left here, asks students to consider the reasons for learning drama and its utility in life, and present their ideas on a spidergram. The spidergram is a form of graphic organizer, which is one of the strategies considered useful for EAL learners. But, presented as it is, it does not allow students to learn any new linguistic structures or vocabulary. At best, it misses a teaching opportunity, and at worst, it disadvantages learners as they might have no way of creating sentences and participating in the collaborative group work. It is usually the case, and particularly in learning languages, that repetition will lead to new learning. We need to find a repetitive grammatical or lexical item here. Look at the differentiated graphic organizer on the right. We need to give the learners the ability to construct sentences, adding "when I hear the word" to drama, and following these with "I think of" would allow the learners to create a complex sentence. If you want them to use the lesson's keywords, which you might translate for them or they might do this themselves first, we might also teach them that "I think of" can be followed by a verb with the ing suffix attached to it. The two boxes at the bottom here, then, need to be matched up to create verb-noun phrases, such as having confidence or delivering performance. This quick differentiated extension of the activity will allow our EAL learners to participate in their group work. Here we see on the left that the learners are to write or say sentences such as "when you mime, you can," "when you mime, you cannot." It would be wise to draw your EAL learners' attention to the "cannot" word, which is the formal equivalent of "can't." I wouldn't assume your students will automatically know "cannot," even if "can't" is familiar to them. This might need to be explained. First, we can use a simple substitution table, such as the first table on the right. This will allow the learners to make sentences. Why not extend this one to a choice between "when you" and "where one"? This way, you teach them that "one" is not just a number, but can be an equivalent to singular "you" or "somebody." It will also check the learner's understanding that whilst the present verb mime, when following "one," will take the s suffix, there is no s when it follows the pronoun "you." This way, the substitution table will check the learner's grammatical knowledge, teach it to them, but also the drama understanding, as by the end of the sentence you will require specific information as to what can and cannot be done in drama. We can also use substitution table for the three important things, and a separate one for justifying these choices. The issue with the reason part is that it won't be just one word that they can provide. Rather, the sentences would look like "this is because it is," or "this is because something might happen." If you are concerned that your learners might be unable to write such extended sentences, you can actually write these up, cut them up into small individual word cards, and ask them to recreate them and then write them. Here the question is why a still image is good. I would happily replace good with something more academic and less generic for the EAL learners' vocabulary building benefit. Here we can make this task accessible by simply telling them to annotate this mind map with ideas in their own language. They could translate later. Even better, perhaps, in the interest of social cohesion, your other learners could translate these, so all could be added to the English version belonging to their group. This is not from this lesson, but it's an example of an annotation in different languages from one of my other lessons. I mentioned before that good, being a very simple and basic word, should perhaps be avoided. Here we've got a vocabulary climb. The children need to arrange the words from the weakest to the strongest on the rump, or from most spoken-like to academic-like. When we look at the bullet point list task here, we can see that could can be our focus here, as the question is about what could go wrong. You can teach about the differences between words such as is, can, could, might, and may, and again, you could use a Klein to ask about which one is the weakest, least certain, and the strongest, the most certain. Since the questions are about a restaurant, it would be wise to teach the learners some restaurant words. On the right, you can see a picture of a restaurant, which can be labeled, or simply find a picture dictionary page with labels already present. Then you can use the substitution table or a sentence frame. You want to insist on the use of the modal verb could, as this is your language focus for this lesson. When your group works and writes down the sentences, why not get the EAL learners in the group to write the modal verb plus the main verb with a different color pen, whilst other members of the group write the rest. Allow the learners to write down the adjectives in the sentences in L1, first language, and the group can translate these into English. Here, I am first looking at the kind of questions asked. Trouble is that two of these use the past simple tense, the second and the third sentence, but the first one is in the past continuous tense. I am changing the second one to past simple too. So rather than what drama skills were the actors using, it becomes what drama skills did the actors use. This is so as not to confuse the EAL learners. We want to teach our learners how to use the questions to generate the beginning of the answers. Look at the tables on the right. Clear here is that the auxiliary verb did, present in the questions, disappears in the answers, and that the subjects, the actors, they, moved to the first position, followed by the verb. This kind of visualization should help the learners generate their answers. If you provide a list of irregular past simple verbs and teach that regular verbs take ed, your learners should be able to write their answers.